Something massive just hit the entertainment world, and this time, it's not a rumor. Justin Bieber has officially broken his silence about the allegations surrounding Sean Diddy Combs. For years, whispers followed Bieber, cryptic tweets, emotional breakdowns, and that eerie 2010 moment when Diddy said Justin knew better than to talk. But now, he's talking. Bieber just issued a bombshell statement, and while he denies being a victim, the truth might be even darker. What did Diddy really do? And why did Justin stay quiet until now? It was 2009. Justin Bieber was the 15-year-old global sensation, baby-faced, singing about puppy love, just starting to navigate the chaos of fame. And suddenly, he's being introduced to the world of Sean Diddy Combs. One clip in particular has resurfaced, a now infamous moment from Jimmy Kimmel Live. Diddy sits beside a teenage Justin and says to the camera, "He's gonna be with me for 48 hours. I just bought him a Lamborghini. We're gonna go buck full crazy." Then he adds something even more eyebrow-raising. He knows better than to talk about what Big Brother Puff does on national TV. Laughter followed. Applause. It was dismissed as another flashy celebrity moment. But now, people are re-watching that video, and the tone has changed completely. That old footage is circulating again, this time with captions, slowed down audio, and a growing list of questions. Why was a grown man spending entire weekends with a teenager? What did Diddy mean by, "he knows better than to talk"? Why were so many details kept off camera? In 2009, it felt like Hollywood excess. Today, in the shadow of lawsuits, federal raids, and mounting allegations, it feels like a red flag. Fans aren't just curious anymore. They're alarmed. The Lamborghini gift, the cryptic comments, the 48 hours together with no adults from Bieber's camp visibly present. And here's the part that's hard to ignore. Diddy didn't say, "We're going to a party," or "I'm mentoring him." He said they're going to go buck full crazy. That's not mentorship. That's something else. And when you stack that moment against what we know now, Cassie's lawsuit, the disturbing accusations from other artists, and the sealed NDAs, it paints a very different picture. This wasn't just a one-off hangout. This was part of a much bigger, much darker pattern that's only now coming to light. The internet is piecing things together, and suddenly, an old late-night interview is starting to look like a chilling warning that no one recognized in time. When Cassie filed her lawsuit in late 2023, it sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry. The 29-page complaint wasn't just explosive, it was terrifying. She accused Sean Diddy Combs of rape, years of coercion, and a cycle of manipulation that began when she was just 19. She claimed he controlled every part of her life, from her music career to her romantic relationships, even her movements. Cassie described a decade of isolation, emotional abuse, and disturbing freak-offs, where she says Diddy forced her into violent and degrading sexual acts, sometimes with strangers, while he watched. And then, in a move no one saw coming, the lawsuit was settled in less than 24 hours. No trial, no testimony, no discovery, just gone, almost overnight. For many, that raised more questions than it answered. Why settle so quickly if the allegations were false? Why not clear your name publicly? And why had so many whispers about Diddy's parties, boys' club, and secret behavior gone ignored for so long? Suddenly, everyone who'd worked with him, from music execs to stylists to security guards, started revisiting their stories. People who had been silent for years started talking. And Cassie wasn't alone. In the weeks after her lawsuit, multiple new accusers came forward. A woman claimed Diddy drugged and assaulted her at a college party in the 1990s. Another said she was gang raped by Diddy and Aaron Hall. Former employees described bizarre house rules, blacked out SUV pickups, phones being confiscated at the door, and a constant presence of NDAs. It was becoming a pattern, one that spanned decades. And this time, the industry wasn't able to brush it under the rug, because these allegations weren't coming from tabloids. They were coming from legal documents, courtrooms, and people who finally had enough of the silence. Diddy went from being the flashy mogul in the fur coat to the face of one of the most disturbing scandals in modern music history. And with each new revelation, the question grew louder. How many people knew? How many looked away? And how much was everyone willing to ignore just to stay close to the power? It all came crashing down on March 25th, 2024. Federal agents in black tactical gear stormed Diddy's homes in Los Angeles and Miami. Helicopters hovered overhead. Doors were kicked in. Footage of his sons being handcuffed and led outside exploded across every social media platform within minutes. The world watched in real time as the empire began to crumble. This wasn't a PR issue anymore. This was the Department of Homeland Security executing a federal raid. Why? Because the allegations had crossed over from civil court into criminal territory. Investigators were reportedly looking into serious accusations, sex trafficking, illegal firearms, and even potential RICO violations, the kind usually reserved for mobsters and cartels. Sources said the feds had been quietly investigating Diddy for months. They'd been interviewing former bodyguards, assistants, dancers, anyone who had worked behind closed doors. They wanted to know who attended the parties, who handled the travel, the drugs, the NDAs, and most of all, who helped cover it all up. Inside his homes, agents seized cell phones, hard drives, surveillance systems, anything that could hold years of encrypted secrets. And suddenly, celebrities who once bragged about partying with Diddy were deleting photos, scrubbing mentions, going silent. Because everyone knew, when the feds raid a billionaire's house, they're not just fishing. They come with receipts. And rumors were flying. Some said there were hidden cameras in the house. Others said Diddy had a team of fixers who made problems disappear. One report even suggested he kept folders on his guests, insurance in case anyone ever turned on him. If that's true, the contents of those hard drives could expose not just Diddy, but a network. A network of people who showed up, stayed quiet, and helped maintain the illusion. And for the first time in his 3-decade career, Diddy wasn't in control of the story. The days after the raid felt like a free fall. Sponsors vanished. Brand deals evaporated. Ciroc, the vodka that Diddy had spent years turning into a lifestyle symbol, cut ties quietly. His business empire, once built on champagne toasts and exclusive after-parties, was suddenly radioactive. Media outlets scrambled. News anchors who used to praise Diddy's mogul status were now running specials about his alleged double life. And then came the legal avalanche. Lawsuit after lawsuit, allegations from women and men, claims going back decades, each one painting the same chilling pattern: grooming, coercion, abuse, NDAS, payoffs, silence. But the silence was breaking. People who had been afraid for years were now speaking up. Former dancers, studio interns, security guards, even people who had once called him family. The floodgates had opened, and while Diddy's legal team was working overtime to deny every charge, one thing was undeniable. The myth of the untouchable mogul was shattered. Hip-hop fans, the ones who grew up with his music, his fashion, his swagger, they were now asking questions. How did no one stop this? How many people knew? Why was power allowed to cover up pain for so long? Meanwhile, online, the memes were savage, but underneath the humor was a sense of disbelief and rage, because for years Diddy had been celebrated as a survivor, a kid from Harlem who made it out and built an empire. But now, people were wondering what he built it on, and worse, how many people he destroyed along the way. This wasn't just a scandal, it was a reckoning. And in the court of public opinion, the verdict was already in. Diddy wasn't just in trouble, he was done. So now the question echoes. What happens to Sean Diddy Combs? Can a man who once defined an era, who turned himself into a billion-dollar brand, survive this? Right now, Diddy is a ghost in plain sight. No red carpets, no Instagram lives, no press releases, just silence and lawyers. Sources say he's holed up in one of his mansions, surrounded by a shrinking circle of loyalists, and fear. Fear that more tapes will leak. Fear that more people will talk. Fear that the empire he built on fame, charm, and hustle is crumbling from within. Federal investigators are circling. There are whispers of criminal charges, and behind closed doors, big names in music and fashion, the ones who used to take his calls, are cutting him off. Quietly, permanently. Because in today's world, reputation is currency. And Diddy's is bankrupt. His name used to open every door. Now it's met with silence, or worse, disgust. And the people who once admired him? They're wondering if the man they cheered for ever really existed, or if it was all just smoke, mirrors, and NDAs. Can he come back from this? In Hollywood, people love a redemption arc, but this is different. This isn't a scandal. This is a system of abuse, and the internet doesn't forget. So what's next for Diddy? Right now, he's not planning his comeback. He's fighting for his freedom. And no matter how good your lawyers are, when the truth catches up, there's nowhere to run. This isn't just about Diddy, it's about the system that let him thrive. For decades, the music industry has been a playground for power, and power unchecked becomes dangerous. How many artists stayed silent to protect their careers? How many victims were paid to disappear? How many red flags were ignored? Because someone was too famous to fail. This is bigger than one man. It's about an industry that claps for charisma and turns away from the truth. Diddy isn't the first powerful figure to fall, and he won't be the last. But his story is a warning shot, a reminder that fame doesn't equal innocence, and money doesn't erase damage. The cameras may stop rolling, the headlines may fade, but for the people still healing, the story is far from over. This is a reckoning, not just for Diddy, but for everyone who helped build the myth and buried the reality. Because at the end of the day, power doesn't protect you forever. The truth always gets the last word.